The stillness of the restaurant was her refuge. Loneliness a familiar companion, until a voice shattered it. A voice that carried urgency, danger, and something hauntingly familiar. Pretend I'm your boyfriend now. Imagine this. You're dining alone, minding your own business, when a stranger leans close and whispers those words. Would you run? Would you fight? Or, like Grace, would you freeze when you realize this isn't a stranger at all, but the ghost of your first love, the one who left without a proper goodbye? Hello, my friends. I am Linda, and this is Linda Love Stories. I hope you enjoyed tonight's story. The restaurant had a quiet atmosphere that Tuesday night. Few occupied tables, yellowish lights reflecting on the cutlery, a discreet musical background blending with the murmur of scattered conversations. Grace had chosen that place precisely for its discretion. She enjoyed dining alone, or at least she had learned to get used to it. It was her way of proving to herself that she was at peace with her own company, though deep down she knew the difference between being alone by choice and being alone because there was no other option. The wine glass rested almost untouched in front of her. Grace looked around as if observing a scene that did not belong to her. Couples exchanged knowing glances, friends laughed loudly at a corner table, and a distracted waiter adjusted glasses. It seemed that everyone had someone to share the night with except her. Solitude weighed more heavily when contrasted with the joy of others. And then, everything shifted. A low voice brushed against her ear. Urgent. Commanding. Pretend I'm your boyfriend now. Her body reacted before her mind. Her heart raced, her fingers trembled, a chill rippled through her spine. She spun around, ready to confront the audacity, but froze when her eyes locked on his. It wasn't a stranger. It was Aaron. Time hadn't erased him. There he sat, more mature, a few gray strands in his beard, subtle wrinkles around his eyes. Yet his essence remained. That deep gaze, that half smile, the same smile that once rescued her from youthful sorrows. Memories hit her like a flood. Stolen kisses after school, secret notes in books, whispered promises of forever, and the final image of him walking away with nothing but a small suitcase and a letter too short to hold all that was left unsaid. They hadn't seen each other in over 5 years. Now here he was, seated across from her like time had paused, and yet every detail on his face screamed that life had gone on. Aaron explained in hushed tones that the sudden approach was just a ruse to escape his clients at a nearby table, 3 men in suits, talking endlessly about golf and investments. But for Grace, that silly excuse was far more than a quick cover. It cracked open the chest of feelings she thought she had buried long ago. Gracie, he said softly, using the name only he ever had. And just like that, the years dissolved. Her mind raced, reliving the pain of those final days. At 22, he had left for a job abroad, chasing dreams while she worked 2 jobs to support her sick mother. He promised to come back. He promised to write. But the letters slowed, the calls grew shorter, until silence was all that remained. A silence that lasted a decade. "What are you doing here?" she finally asked. Aaron explained about the deal he was negotiating, his weariness, and the lonely path success had carved for him. No one had told him the corporate world meant 80-hour weeks, impersonal hotels, and dinners like this one. Something in his vulnerability softened her. He wasn't the untouchable man of success she had imagined. He was tired, human, still the same boy who once ran his hands through his hair when nervous. They began to talk. About her mother's passing. About the publishing house where Grace now worked. About his travels, his collection of keychains. Yes, including the heart-shaped one she had given him. For the first time in years, they laughed together. They remembered. They shared. And when the night finally ended, Aaron asked to walk her home. She wasn't ready. Not yet. But before she stepped into the taxi, she surprised herself. "Maybe we can have coffee tomorrow. There's a cafe near my work. They make a carrot cake you'd like." His smile, so familiar, lit up again. "I'd love that." As the taxi pulled away, Grace stared through the rearview mirror. Aaron stood there, a solitary figure, watching her leave. She felt something stirring inside. Not happiness, not sadness, but possibility. A door she thought was locked forever now seemed slightly ajar. Maybe some stories don't truly end. Maybe they wait, patiently, for the right moment to be written again. That night, Grace felt something she hadn't in years. Hope. Not the fragile, naive hope of youth, but the steady kind that understands the risks and still dares to open itself once more. Because life rarely offers second chances. But when it does, sometimes love finds its way back. If you enjoyed the story, my dear friends, please leave a comment with a rating from 1 to 5. And don't forget to watch the video now appearing on your screen. Until next time, this was Linda Love Stories.